Hello everyone. Today we will introduce smart functions and applications to you. Let's check the training objectives first. We want you can know the key features of smart functions, and be able to define common application scenarios for each smart function. Except that, we want you can know the configuration process of each smart function. Here is the course contents. First we will introduce to you about motion analysis. Then we will talk about people counting, heat mapping and cue detection functions. Okay, let's start from the motion analysis. We need to know the fundamentals of motion analysis, that is background modeling technology. Background modeling technology creates static background model in the monitoring area and at the same time detects and records the moving objects. It will trigger the alarm if the moving objects reach the alarm threshold. Based on the background modeling technology, we have several VCA rule can be detected. First, line crossing rule. Line crossing detection is detected by the area that the object crosses the line. By default, if the object crosses the line by 50%, it will trigger the alarm. The higher sensitivity, the less area of the object it requires to cross the line. Next, region detection rule. All the region detections will detect whether the center of the target has triggered the rule. We have region entrance detection, region exit detection, intrusion detection. Okay, after knowing what kinds of detection rules do we have, then let's move to the installation. Here we have some installation recommendations. The height of the target should be less than 1/3 of the image and bigger than 1/15 of the image. With the video resolution as CIF, the object pixel has to be between 5*5 and 100*100. The camera is recommended in scenarios without strong backlight to ensure the accuracy. Okay, now let's how to configure the detection by rules. First let's see how to configure line crossing detection. We need to draw the detection line and select the crossing the direction. A to B means that targets that moving from A to B will trigger alarm. B to A means that targets that moving from B to A will trigger alarm. A to B and B to A represents for targets that moving between A and B will trigger alarm. Sensitivity stands for the percentage of the body part of an acceptable target that goes across the predefined line. To configure the intrusion detection we need to draw area, and set the threshold. Threshold means the time of the object loitering in the region. Alarm will be triggered immediately after the object entering the region if the time exceeds the threshold. The unit time is 1 second. Sensitivity stands for the percentage of the body part of an acceptable target that enters the predefined region. For region entrance detection, we also need to draw area, then there is no threshold, we just need to set the sensitivity. Range of sensitivity from 1 to 100. Sensitivity stands for the percentage of the body part of an acceptable target that enters the predefined region. Region exiting detection configuration is same to the region entrance. Draw an area, then set the sensitivity. Here sensitivity stands for the percentage of the body part of an acceptable target that exits the predefined region. Next is unattended baggage detection. We also need to draw a detection area, then we need to set the time threshold and sensitivity. Alarm will be triggered immediately after the object being left if length of time exceeds the threshold. Sensitivity stands for the percentage of the body part of an acceptable target that enters the predefined region. Object removal detection. There are also 3 parameters we need to set: area, threshold, and sensitivity. The threshold for the time of the objects removed from the region. Sensitivity stands for the percentage of the body part of an acceptable target that leaves the predefined region. When we finish the VCA rules configuration we need to set arming schedule. By default, it is armed 24/7. Linkage methods can be set accordingly. Notify surveillance center. Upload to FTP. Memory card, NAS. Trigger alarm output. Recording linkage. And custom alarm. Okay, now let's review the key points in this chapter by answering these 2 questions. What functions do we have for motion analysis? Line crossing, region detections, intrusion detection, unattended baggage detection, object removal detection 2. Which function can be used for the scenario below? The answer is line crossing. Then we will introduce to you about the people counting function and application. Where do you think we can put people counting camera? Shopping mall, office building and so on. Well, let's know about the people counting functions, installation and configuration. The people counting is used to calculate the number of people entered or left a certain configured area and form in daily, weekly, monthly, annual reports for analysis. So people counting function can be used in scenarios like shopping mall, chain stores, and supermarket. For people counting, we recommend dual lens people counting camera DS2CD6825G0, CI.V.S, which include embedded algorithm, built-in flash memory. Let's check the key features of people counting cameras. It is embedded intelligent algorithm to calculate the number of the people entering or leaving. Camera supports daily, weekly, monthly, annual report. And built-in flash for people counting statistics storage without SD card. It has specialized people counting function, supports separate counting of people entering, exiting. Okay, now I have a question to ask. What are dual lens for? Will it take 2 channels on the NVR? Dual lens camera is delivering 3D image to improve the accuracy, and it does take only 1 channel. Every object in the image has X, Y and Z axes coordinates. The Z-axis coordinate represents height, which prevents the interference from other objects. Dual lens people counting camera can ensure accuracy, exceeds 97%. With the construction of dual lens, shadow or other objects will not cause miscounting. Camera can identify 2 persons as long as there is space between 2 heads. Based on the height information in the 3D axis, the target height should be in the range of the human height, thus filtering the interference of the cart, baby carriage, etc. Okay, we have know why we need the dual lens people counting camera. Now we need to know how to install it correctly. How to choose a right position. The camera should be installed in the middle of entrance door. Also, it is recommended that the camera's position should be as closed as possible to target entrance door without any obstacles. How to define the camera number. It requires 1 camera for a standard entrance door of width between 2 to 3 meters and height between 2.5 to 5 meters. Now, let's see how to configure the people counting on web page of people counting camera. To configure the people counting function, we need to go to the VCA settings. We need to finish the camera calibration first. We can choose the auto calibration or manual calibration. If you choose the manual mode, you need to input the camera installation information on site, like lens height, tilt angle, heel angle. You can also view drawing example, to check the rule frame sample for camera calibration. Then, we can start setting the people counting rule. First thing first is to enable the function, and select the OSD overlay content, which means what kinds of information content you want the camera to show on its live view. Here we set the enter and leave. Secondary, we need to set the counting type. We have 3 options, adult, child and all. Thirdly, we can set a daily reset time, which means the overlay information will be reset at the set time. Then we need to configure the rule. Draw a detection line to define a valid range. Arrow points to the direction of entering. If you don't have any idea about how to draw a people counting rule correctly, you can click the view drawing template. Here we provides different samples to show the rule frame, counting area and detection line event in different kinds of scenarios. Then we can set up the data uploading. We can select real-time upload data or not, data statistics cycle. Except that we can configure email report, choose data type, and report format. At last, we just need to set up the overlay and capture. Under overlay and capture, check display VCA information on stream. The blue frames will be displayed on the target N live view and playback. Till then, we have finished all the configuration for people counting function. Okay, now let's answer 2 questions to review the installation and configuration of people counting camera. 1. Please choose the appropriate installation position for people counting camera. The right answer is third one. The camera should be installed close to the entrance and there shouldn't be any shelter. 2. True or false? In auto mode of calibration, we need to set the height of camera. False. In auto mode, position and size of counting frame cannot be modified. In manual mode, we need set the height of camera. In next chapter we will introduce to you about the heat mapping function. Do you know what heat mapping function looks like? You can see the picture we listed here. In heat map, we use the different color to represent the accumulative dwell time. Longer dwell time means higher heat value of this region. Red means the highest value while blue means lowest value. So where does heat mapping function be used widely? Heat mapping function is widely used in supermarket, in shopping mall, in plaza, or in the luxury store. So what kinds of Hikvision product supports heat mapping function? We recommend to use the 63 fisheye camera. The resolution of this camera is up to 1 megapixel with 360 degrees view angle, and has IR light which is up to 15 meters. Camera has built-in mic and speaker, and is designed on base of deep learning algorithm. Here is an important note. Heat mapping data is stored in a SD card which is installed in the camera. So we need to confirm, there should be a SD card in the camera. Now let's see how to configure heat map on camera web browser. First find configuration on the camera, then go to the VCA configuration to find the people management, then go to the heat map configuration. Then we just need to enable heat map function. Draw the heat map area, don't forget to draw the max size and min size to filter the wrong target. Then remember to set the arming schedule and linkage methods. You can also enable the expected number of people and set the threshold of expected number of people. When enable the expected number of people, the camera will compare the actual number of people with the expected number of people. The max value of the two will be set as the upper limit in the heat map. After configuration we can also check the heat map statistic on web browser. Go to the application display of fisheye camera. We have the heat map statistics. We can type the search conditions to check the heat map of the scene. Well, that's all about the heat map function. Let's check questions to review it. 1. True, false. Heat value is based on the number of people staying at the certain time instead of the accumulative dwell time. The answer is false. Heat value reflects on the accumulative dwell time. 2. True, false. We can retrieve heat map data without a SD card installed in the camera. The answer is false. Heat mapping data is stored on an SD card. Well, let's move to the last VCA function in this course. It is queue detection. So, here I have a question to ask. Where we can apply queue detection? Well, any place where the waiting line is, especially supermarket, shopping mall. Why do we need queue detection? Because in retail industry, there always be a long queue for a long waiting time. And the poor efficiency is a pain point of managers in stores or supermarkets. So, if there will be the automatic queue monitoring and alarm, it will really help the management of the retail industry. So let's check the features of queue detection function. Cameras with queue detection support detecting the number of persons and the wait time of each person in the line. The cameras will trigger an alarm when the number of persons or the wait time of each person exceeds the set threshold. A queue management camera supports 3 detection areas. The camera can detect the waiting time of each person. If the waiting time exceeds the threshold, it will trigger the waiting time alarm to remind the employees in the store to increase the efficiency of their works. And the camera can detect the number of queuing up people. It will trigger the alarm if the number exceeds the threshold as well. Then, let's see how to configure the queue management. When we log into the web client of a camera with queue management, it can be a fisheye camera or 7 series face capture camera. We can also find the queue management configuration in People Management VCA. First we need to set the rules. We can add several queue areas, name them, draw the area in the scene. If you need, you can enable the queue duration prediction. You can enable the alarm interval, which means in the set interval, only one notification is triggered of repeated alarms. And you can also enable the People OSD to show the people number waiting in queue in real time. That is the general queue management alarm settings. Besides, we can also enable the regional people queuing up alarm, set the alarm condition and alarm threshold. When the alarm condition and the set threshold are both met, it will trigger an alarm. Enabling the waiting time detection to trigger an alarm when the waiting time in queue is greater than the set threshold. At last we need to set the data uploading type. We can choose to upload the queue detection data in real time or to upload by a schedule. Here we can also set and duration alarm, which means the camera will trigger an alarm if the target stays in the area longer than the set duration. Okay, that's all configuration for queue management. Well, here I want to ask you a question to check if you have remembered the most important points in the queue management. What kinds of traject can be detected by camera with queue management? The answer is detecting the number of persons and the wait time of each person in the line. At last, we also given small workshop for you to help you practice configuration steps of VCA functions. Here is our workshop. The customer has a yard, and he wants to use Hikvision video security system to accomplish perimeter protection. Please help him to deploy the system. A camera for perimeter line protection. A NVR for event video storage. The customer wants to receive the alarm message and alarm video on his smartphone. Please try to scan the QR code of NVR to add it on the HikConnect app on customer's phone. Then, enable the line crossing function, draw the detect line, set the crossing direction and the sensitivity, trigger the alarm linkage as central management. Help to set the recording schedule as event recording on NVR. When the line crossing is detected, the NVR starts to record. Hope this workshop can help you to be familiar with the VCA configuration. That's all contents for this course. Thank you for your listening. We will see you soon.